The United States and the world at large have been misused by the Israeli terror state for many, many years. The Israeli terror state was started by the United Nations. After the Nuremberg trials, everyone was very, very interested in forming a special home for Jewish people after all the propaganda they had been put through at the Nuremberg trial. And so the very first order of business in San Francisco was the partition of Israel by the United Nations. Now, the United Nations didn't really own Israel. It didn't own Palestine. It didn't own anything there. It was basically there to administer a peace that was necessary after the Turks had been removed from the situation, after decades of rule that was somewhat harsh and somewhat decadent. So then the British came in and they ruled Palestine to their chagrin because the Israelis, under Menachem Begin, the head of the Irgun and the Shin Bet terrorist organization, began to terrorize the British troops and to terrorize the Arabs in the area with the idea of removing them completely from Palestine so that all of it would become the property of people of the Jewish faith. Mr. Begin bombed the King David Hotel, killing over 100 people. It was a sensation. It was known as terror, which is what it was called in the newspapers at the time. He bombed it because he knew that there were the wives and children of the British officers there, and there were also plenty of Arabs there. And these were the people who took the brunt of that hit of terrorism by Menachem Begin, who later became Prime Minister of Israel. Now, he wasn't finished. He went to Deir Yassim and killed 100 people in order to terrorize them, and that was just a few weeks before the War for Independence started, so that when the war started and the Israelis began to move, the Arabs were terrorized by what they had done, what the Israelis had done, the slaughter of 100 people, and they knew that these Israelis were totally crazy and that they were capable of doing the same thing to them. In fact, they slaughtered many, many of these innocent Palestinians as they made their way toward Jerusalem. Now, I was talking on the internet to a person who was posting on my YouTube website, and he felt that the Israelis didn't start the War for Independence, that it was started by the Arabs. That the Arabs are ready to jump in and do this and that, but as a matter of fact, the Israelis had planned for the war. They knew exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted to basically take the roads up to Jerusalem and to capture Jerusalem and the Holy Wall there that they cherish so much. That was supposed to be in the Arab sector. So once the war started, the Israelis continued to consume more and more acreages of land, mile by mile, until they made their way to the outskirts of Jerusalem, and they continued fighting and fighting and fighting until they nearly took the entire city. Another war was engineered in which Israel was able to take the rest of Jerusalem and all of the land to the Jordan River. And so now they have it all, except for a few spots. And they have never left that area. Usually when a war is over, you negotiate to leave, but these people had no intention of leaving. This was a genocide, pure and simple. Remove the people from the land, kill them, incarcerate them, torture them, humiliate them, make them emigrate out. Don't let them come in. Replace them with Jewish people, with immigrants from all over the world. That was the Israeli dream. It was a fascist Nazi dream, a dream of national Zionists, Nazis, who wanted to take everything away from these poor indigenous people who had lived in peace with the Jews and with the Christians and with all of the other people in the Middle East for centuries, until the European Zionists began to arrive, scheming in their mind to take it all and to leave the inhabitants there with absolutely nothing. And that's what they did. So what do we have now? We have Israel as a special friend of the United States. And I want to use friend in quotes because this is a friend that kills people. It includes killing Americans. They've just killed almost 4,000 Americans in Iraq, which was fought for Israel. And it wouldn't have been fought except for AIPAC, which basically owns our Congress and our president because it gives them the money for their campaigns and expects to control this country as a result. We're basically a colony of Israel, the terror state. And Israel has taught us how to be a terror state. Homeland Security is now run not only by Chertoff, who is a Zionist, but with Zionists from the Soviet Union, who ran the security apparatus there. And we have the President of the United States now signing documents saying that he can create martial law and a dictatorship whenever he wants. All he has to do is deem that the United States is in danger, and he can do what he wants. He can become dictator in the Congress, and no one else can do anything about it. And he signed that, and as you know, no one has ever done anything to stop him from doing it. It's a done deal. And everything is now in place for total dictatorship in the United States of America. Not only do we have the presidential directive, which was simply signed by the President under the War Powers Act, never approved by Congress, nor does it have to be, but we also have the sensational Patriot Act, which destroyed our Constitution, destroyed habeas corpus, and allows almost a total dictatorship to occur in this country. And it is law right now, and our Congress passed it in 1 hour. And how did that happen? The President came in with this huge book of over 500 pages that had been pre-written and told the Congress, we don't have time to read it, every second is precious. Vote for it now. And our foolish Congress did vote for it because they got phone calls from IPAC and from their Zionist friends saying, Buster, if you don't sign this now, you're not going to win your campaign next year. And so they signed it. There is nothing to which these congressmen will not stoop in order to save their sorry seats in the House and in the Senate. They do not represent me. They do not represent you. They represent them. They represent the Zionists. But you and I, who are non-Zionists, who don't really wish Israel ill, but we are just sick and tired of Zionism and we don't want our country to be embroiled in it, we have no representation. It has been stolen from us because these are the people that pay the bills for the politicians. This country, which was supposed to be our friend, has done many dastardly things to us, and the most recent of which is the Iraq War, which has destroyed our dollar bill, which is collapsing on world markets. It has killed close to 4,000 of our men and women in uniform, and it has stolen $2 trillion from us. And it was all done because of IPAC and the Neocons, who were able to use that money from IPAC to wheedle their way into the White House and then to plan the war, which you and I became stuck with. It was a war for Israel, not for you, not for me. And as a matter of fact, 9/11 was caused by Israel. The people who claimed to be behind it said, it's because you have troops and bases in the sacred area of Saudi Arabia. It's because you've been messing with Afghanistan. It's because you have been messing with Iraq and Iran. It's because you have deposed leaders and you have seen that our people have been killed, our Arab people and our Christian people. And so we brought this on ourselves by having a friendship with the terror state of Israel, which is up to no good in that area and wants to dominate it. And of course now the United States wants to dominate it. People who associate with other people who want to do things tend to want to do the same things that those they associate want to do. And now we have become ethnically changed to where we want to become a colonial power in the Middle East, with all the problems that are inherent. Look at Israel. It has all of these security forces, and what happens? It has one battle after another, one bombing after another against itself, and then it gets in its planes and bombs back. It bulldozes down houses, and basically it's never been able to stop the Arabs from trying their best to get their land back that was stolen by the Israelis. In my opinion, we need to declare that Zionism is the terrorist organization that it really is. It feeds on terrorism. The taking of Israel was a terrorist act, and IPAC is a terrorist organization. We are a great country, but we need to stand up for ourselves, and we need to have our country back. Israel, you cannot have us. You can only have yourself. America belongs to the Americans. It doesn't belong to the terror power of Israel. That was a terror of your making, and we want no part of it. Thank you very much for joining me at Zionist News, and tomorrow I will have more Zionist news for you.